a former British military commander in Afghanistan, has been tasked with the job of predicting the likely size and makeup of the British Army in the next decade. Lieutenant General Nick Carter is at the beginning of a study which will go a long way to shaping the Army of 2020. He says the force could look very different from now. General Carter's been speaking exclusively to Charlotte Cross.
Lieutenant General Nick Carter has a tough new job. He's been asked to carry out a review into what the Army should look like come 2020. His report will help shape the Army of the future. Following cuts to the defence budget, the emphasis will be on adaptability, with the Army moving to a contingency rather than campaigning posture.
Resources are getting a bit tight, and therefore all of us have a job to play in trying to help the country get in the right position. And defence has a part to play in that as well, because it's a threat to our security, being broke, if you like. So that's a part of it. But I think the other part of it is that we should remember that even with the tighter resources that we have in the future, in our class, we'll still be a very well-resourced army. And there's a great deal that we can do with the resources that have been made available to us.
Predicting the next conflict is impossible, but preserving readiness by retaining just enough skills, expertise and equipment to regenerate capability quickly will be key.
We go through a much more systematic process of horizon scanning now, and I think it's that process of horizon scanning and learning lessons from current conflicts and experiences of others, you know, what perhaps Israelis get up to or Americans elsewhere, that if you recycle that into your thought process and you become a genuinely learning and agile institution, then you might be better placed to be able to deal with the demands of the future.
His review is putting a lot of emphasis on what's being called upstream conflict prevention and capacity building overseas to make future wars less likely. Existing training missions are likely to go much further, with around 3,000 people actively engaged around the world.
We already have a lot of British military training teams deployed in sub-Saharan Africa or East Africa, and indeed in the Middle East. And I think it's looking at that in a systematic way and helping others to be able to help themselves, which traditionally we've always done a lot of, and our great-great-grandfathers would recognise it. And I think that you can see sensible career structures being developed with people who have real expertise in this area. And for what will be, I guess, a predominantly UK-based army in 10 years' time, that will undoubtedly be a stimulating outlet for young people to want to come and join the organisation.
The hope is that in the future, if the Army is called upon to fight in far-flung places, it will already know much more about them than it did when it first pitched up in Basra, or indeed in Helmand Province, with the vague wish of not a shot being fired. Charlotte Cross, Forces News.